Hello everyone and welcome back again to the 80s Movie Den. For today's episode, we are going to go back to 1980s albums, and we are going to feature two albums from arguably, depending on my mood, my favorite band of all time. Canadian trio, a legendary trio of absolute virtuoso musicians, incredibly gifted, talented musicians from the Toronto area, and just an amazing trio. Often when you hear about this band, people will say, when people will listen to them for the first time, they'll say, wow, there was only three of them in the band. They make so much music. It sounds like an orchestra. It sounds like there's like 5 people on stage, 6 people on stage. And they're shocked to find out that it's only 3 people. But when you're dealing with that level of ability and talent, where band members can, they can do vocals and play multiple instruments basically at the same time. I'm talking about none other than Rush. Rush is a band that some people still consider kind of an underground cult sensation. Some people can't get past the lead singer Geddy Lee's vocals. Some people absolutely love his vocals. I obviously love his vocals. I appreciate his ability to sing in the way that he sings. It's very unique, but it fits. It fits the band well. There's a ton of chemistry there. What's neat about Rush is that the 3 band members were together for over 4 decades. Sadly, we lost Neil Peart to brain cancer a few years back. But as classy as an individual as he always was, they kept that very secret. The other 2 band members did an amazing job not leaking it out. The 3 of them were true friends. They weren't just, in a band or business partners, but they were friends, and it shows because the way they performed on stage and the way they carried themselves as individuals was a great thing to see. A lot of bands don't make it very long. They don't last very long. Band members leave, lineup changes. But with these 3, it was, they were dedicated to the band and to putting out amazing music, and their live show was unsurpassed. I went to see Rush twice. I saw them at the what was then the Air Canada Centre in Toronto, and I saw them at what was then the Molson Amphitheatre in Toronto as well. And I was amazed. They were so good. It was loud. Their shows were extremely loud, but their musicianship, it was incredible to watch them perform on stage. It's true. I mean, listening to them perform, it was unbelievable to hear it. And to just see the 3 band members on the stage, it was awesome. Geddy Lee was the lead singer, played the keyboard, the bass. Alex Lifeson was the lead guitarist and vocalist as well. And Neil Peart, of course, was the percussionist, had a massive drum kit. And it was interesting because for Rush, Neil Peart was he was the songwriter. He was the lyricist, which is not something you see often. The drummer doesn't really write the lyrics. But he was a very intelligent guy, well-read, and he wrote some very interesting lyrics. A lot of their songs were long in length. Musical masterpieces is what I would refer to them as. And we're gonna start with this band here, or this album here. It wasn't released in the 80s actually, but it was released in 1976, and this is 2112. And I've got a ton of Rush albums. We can highlight some more in the future, but the reason why I chose 2112 is because this was the album that really, this was a make or break time for Rush. Before this, they had put out their debut album, and then they put out an album called Caress of Steel, which I love, by the way. And it's not just because I'm a biased fan of Rush. I actually love Caress of Steel. There's amazing songs on it. But it wasn't very well received. And so the reason why I say this was the make or break album for Rush was because they couldn't put out another album that wasn't successful, or else they would have been in big trouble. But this turned it all around for them. They stuck to their guns, and they wrote some amazing songs here. We're looking at 2112. That was like an 18.5-minute masterpiece. Overture, The Temples of Syrinx, Discovery, Presentation, Oracle, The Dream, Soliloquy, and the grand finale. Those were all subtitles of the song 2112. And an absolutely incredible song. And then that was side one, okay? Side two, we have A Passage to Bangkok, The Twilight Zone, Lessons, Tears, and Something for Nothing. Again, awesome songs. That's the cover right there. Brace yourself. Those are the band members. Interesting Japanese garb there. But yeah, 2112, absolutely incredible album. It's one of the first Rush albums that I listened to when I got older, and really started to get into the band. I have to credit one of my best friends growing up. He was responsible for getting me into Rush. He was the youngest of three kids, and he was substantially younger than his older brothers. He was about, I think, 10 years younger than his middle brother. And they were big Rush fans, and they took him to a concert actually when he was younger. But when we were teenagers, he always had Rush going on in his car. And I remember we were listening to the new Rush album that had come out. It was called Stages. And we were in the car listening to it, and we turned around and went right back to the mall so I could pick up the album because I fell in love with it. The live performance is what really got me. And then from then on in, it was like game on. I was collecting CD after CD of Rush. And what was great was around that time, the CDs were about $6.99 or $7.99. So I was able to pick up a lot of Rush CDs for a really reasonable price. But anyways, this was an incredible album, 2112. And then this is quintessential Rush. This is, I think, what really put them on the map as far as like the mainstream. And their tour was incredible to follow this. This was Moving Pictures. Released in 1981. And this has all the songs that, you would consider, mainstream. Tom Sawyer, Red Barchetta, YYZ, Limelight. These songs made radio, right? And that was side one. Side two, we have The Camera Eye, Witch Hunt, and Vital Signs. Now, The Camera Eye is arguably my favorite song on this album. Even though Tom Sawyer's on it and Limelight's on it and YYZ, Red Barchetta, but I love The Camera Eye. I just love the song. I love the length of it. You love how it takes you on this ride. And yeah, just an awesome album. Moving Pictures. There's the back of the album there. Two amazing albums from an amazing band. I just wanted to note that the lineup changes happened. There's only one lineup change, and it happened when Neil Peart joined the band. John Rutsey was the original drummer in the band, and it's well known that he was having some health issues, and he wasn't really taking care of himself very well. And I don't think he was. From what I've heard and what I've read and what I've seen in documentaries, I don't think he was as gung-ho about the future of Rush as the other two members were. And, so they parted ways, and they parted ways amicably. There was no bad blood. There was no disdain or resentment. They just parted ways peacefully, and enter Neil Peart. And it's awesome because Neil Peart grew up in St. Catharines, Ontario, which is about an hour away from where I live. I grew up in Niagara Falls, so, and he was working for his father's farm equipment business, and, got the invite to audition for the band, and you know, the rest was history. So, but anyways, 2 awesome albums. If you're a Rush fan, you know, I don't need to sell these albums to you. You know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're not a Rush fan, I feel sorry for you. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, Rush fan is, you know, our Rush fans, the band Rush is an acquired taste. You know, the music and the vocals, right? You know, it's one of those things. You either like it or you don't, obviously, with everything in life. But if you haven't given them a chance, I highly suggest that this is where you start. I would start here. I would start with Moving Pictures. And then kind of work your way around it. But this is where I would start, right here. And then I'd probably just go to 2112 after that. I've got a few more Rush albums that I'd like to highlight in future videos. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed me highlighting these albums. And leave some comments down below. Let me know if you've heard these albums, if you are a Rush fan. If you're not a Rush fan, let me know. And, you know, all comments are welcome. So, this has been the 80s Movie Den, and as always, we'll catch you on the next one.